So my name's Alexis Miller, and I am the Community Impact Specialist at Solar United Neighbors. We just changed our name, so I'm trying to make sure I remember it right. But we're super excited to have you all join us for our Virginia Solar Action Team meeting tonight. We are going to talk more about some work that you can do around making more solar-friendly policies throughout the state. We're excited to have Ben and Liz on our team here with us, and I'll let them introduce themselves when they do their parts of the presentation tonight. As an overview, we're going to kick it off with Ben talking a little bit about what the issues are in Virginia that we're going to be looking at for the next year or so. And then Liz is going to share with us about how to lobby and what that looks like and tips and tricks. And then we're going to do some breakout rooms to practice that with others in the group. So again, we'd love to have you introduce yourselves in the chat, and then I'm going to kick it over to Ben to get started.
Great, thanks Alexis, and welcome everybody. Ben Hoyne, Solar United Neighbors. Wonderful to be with you all. Apologies, I got COVID last week, so I'm still in quarantine and pretty much missed the last not quite week of work. So kind of getting back up to speed, didn't quite get everything done for this meeting that I'd hoped to. But that's actually a blessing because we're going to do a little bit of adjustment. But as Alexis mentioned, Liz is going to kind of run you through, the structure of how to have a meeting with a legislator, kind of a lobby visit, as we call it. And I'm going to talk about what do we want to talk about. And we're working on a fact sheet that has a whole bunch of policy wonky jargon. But we don't need to fill your mind with that today. That's one of the things I didn't get accomplished. So really, I think the most effective tool in advocacy and meeting with legislators is kind of talking about something that's personal to you. And so obviously in the terms of solar and residential solar, I kind of put folks into a few different buckets of, a few different categories of solar owners and potential solar owners and solar consumers. So the first group would be folks that have solar right now, right? Folks that have solar on their home, are enjoying the benefits, love it, they can't wait, can't do anything but tell their neighbors and their friends and their family and everybody about how great solar is. And I put myself in this category. I got solar 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and absolutely love it and sing its virtues all the time. And so that's really important for legislators to hear. But in terms of, what do I need in terms of policy change or legislative changes, it's not necessarily that much personally as I already have solar. But I do want everybody to have the ability to get solar. And so there are some things that need to change. The second group of people, which is the largest group, are folks that don't have solar and can't get solar for a variety of reasons. That could be that your roof faces the north, as we're here in the northern hemisphere. The sun generally comes from the south, along the equator, and so to have a house that's properly situated for solar, excuse me, you want your house to face south. And so you might have a roof that's not suitable for solar. There might be a lot of shading or other things. You might be in a multifamily house. You might be, in a townhome, a condo, an apartment. You might be a renter, and the incentives for solar right now are mostly geared toward the property owner and not towards a renter. So there's a whole host of reasons why you might not have access to solar at your residence. And I think Liz is famous at Sun for, she doesn't have a great roof or something along those lines, but she's a strong advocate for solar. And so the best way to get access to solar, excuse me, it's probably the most I've spoken in a week, is through community solar. And so that's something that technically exists in Virginia. A law was passed a few years ago in Dominion Energy Territory to establish community solar, but it's working its way through the regulatory process. It's not quite in place yet. And worse than that is it looks like it's going to be exorbitantly expensive and not really work for 99% of folks. And as I mentioned, that's in Dominion territory. In Appalachian Power territory, Kentucky utility territory, there is no community solar. So speaking about the virtues of community solar is important as well. And then the third would be for folks that actually do have a decent home for solar, but can't go solar for a particular reason, usually associated with financing or maybe they're not, they're going to move in a few years and they don't want to do a 25-year investment when they're going to move in 3 years, but they would like solar for now, or maybe they need a new roof or something like that. And so that would be kind of a smaller group of folks, but an important group of folks as well. And so finding the proper incentive structures for that is really important. And so it's important, as I mentioned, to share your story with the legislator. And really our goal today and our goal for meeting with legislators this summer is to establish that there's a group of folks in Virginia that are passionate about solar and residential solar, distributed solar, and want to make sure that their legislators are aware of that. So since we have a pretty small group, I might have folks either drop in the chat or just briefly, you can turn your mic off and I don't know, Alexis, maybe you can call on folks to just kind of identify which group you're in. Do you have solar and you're a solar advocate, solar evangelist? Do you want solar, but you need to participate in a community solar program? And if so, what utility territory are you in? Or if you're in the third bucket that you want to get, you could get solar at your house, but it's not a good fit at the moment. That'll just help us and help you to kind of identify which which group you're in and how to kind of frame that as we were talking to legislators. So Alexis, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I'm happy to call on folks. And again, if you'd rather just drop it in the chat, feel free to do that and I can read it out. And I apologize in advance. I'm sure I'll mispronounce someone's name along this journey, but Ronald, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ronald Jones. I do have solar and I'm in the Dominion group. Over.
Perfect. Win? How about Max?
Did you say Max?
Yeah, Max.
I guess that's me. I don't have solar yet, but recently I was contacted by a solar company and they told me my roof was a good roof for solar. And I've been considering this for a while. So I'm very much interested in going solar and there's a lot to learn. I really don't know, like he was saying earlier, if you're going to move, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. My roof is 17 years old. And I just don't know if it's going to be like an investment in the property. Is it going to increase the value of the house? I would think so.
Yeah, and we definitely have a lot of support on helping folks to go solar. So after we do these, I can drop into the chat our support around that as well. So we can walk you through that. Robert?
Hi, I'm in group 3. I just put a new roof on, but I expect that I will be moving. I'm 78 and it's likely that within the next 7 years or so, I'll be moving elsewhere. So I am in Dominion territory and I am interested in hearing more about options like the Dominion just proposed the residential solar on their part, what you think of that. And but I am an environmental advocate and I'm anxious to argue for a better deal for community solar and more opportunities for residential solar.
start. Nicole?
Hey, can you hear me? Okay,
Yep,
great.
you're
My
good.
computer is behaving very strangely right now, so I'm glad you can at least hear me. I am definitely an advocate. So I'm actually the resilience planner for Plan RVA. So I am both personally and professionally invested in this. I'm trying to learn as much as I can to figure out how we can expand opportunities for distributed and community solar in this region. I also have it on my house. It was there when I bought the house, and part of the deal of the sale of our house was the lease of those panels being paid off. So I have just been able to enjoy the benefits of having solar and not have to pay off the loan for the panels, which has been fabulous. But I have a lot of friends who are exploring it as well. And what I'm learning is that there's a lot of bad actors, it seems, in the private solar industry, and people have extremely wide-ranging experiences.
Yes. Jeff?
Yes, hi, I'm out in Newmarket, Virginia, out in the Shenandoah Valley. I've had a system for about 6 years now. It's 11 kilowatt system, up 34 panels, I think, something like that. Love it and highly recommend it. It's a ground mount system compared to roof. I've got about 7 acres, so I have the land to put it on. So I've had a very good experience with it, knock on wood, very little problems. The company that installed it no longer exists, which is an issue that I wanted to raise. Was I did have a problem about a year ago, and it's very hard to find people to work on it. One, if they didn't install it and just in this area. So if there's a way to try to help people that already have systems find reputable folks to work with after the fact, that would be very useful.
Definitely, yeah, and I can, or Beth, do you have an answer for
I'd
that?
say, yeah. Jeff, if you send us an email, VA team, like Virginia team, VA team at solarunitedneighbors.org. We connect folks with people all the time. I know we know somebody out, I think, in the Winchester area, so I'm sure they would get down to Newmarket, not too far. I'm so happy to help connect you with somebody that'll service your unit.
Okay, what was the address again?
VA team, like Virginia team, at solarunitedneighbors.org. And if you're poking around our website on the Virginia page, you could probably find a link to that as well.
Okay.
And I'll include that in the follow-up email as well, so that if you didn't grab that, then it will be easy for you to click on. Keith?
Yeah, so I recently started working for a solar company. They're called Titan Solar Power. It's based out in Arizona. So I'm out in Ashburn, Virginia. Started about like 2-3 months ago. So it's been very interesting to learn about everything. A lot of stuff that, you thought was possible, but, you're like, maybe they can't do that. But, it's pretty amazing what they can do.
Definitely true. I've learned a lot while working here as well. Jesse?
Hi, I'm Jessie, and I'm interested in potentially installing solar panels on my roof, although I do not have any now. And I'm in this meeting to learn more about what I can do for our environment, and I thought this was an interesting topic, so I'm here to learn more.
Perfect, you're in the right place. Bridget?
I'm actually 15, so I guess I don't have like power to actually install the solar panels in my house, but I'm here because I wanted to learn more about it and maybe talk to my parents because I'm interested in renewable energy.
For you.
Yeah, and these voices are powerful voices with our legislators as well, so it's important in all aspects. Susan?
Thanks. I'm sorry I was a bit late. We have solar panels. We got them through the 2019 Hampton Roads Solar Co-op. And so we are more cheapskates than environmentalists, although environmentalism is good. I got to tell you, I start from the standpoint of somebody that doesn't want to pay anything for power or gas, which is interesting because around the same time, my husband also got an electric car. I have a very faithful Prius that's now 5 years old, and I run the little gauge since I got it 5 years ago, and I'm getting 61.3 miles per gallon. I just never miss a chance to brag on that. So I will replace it probably with an electric car someday, but I'm gonna have to be convinced. I get a lot of questions because we were the first in our neighborhood to have solar power. And so I've just answered one by one and answered neighbors, and some of them refer me to their kids who just got a house or whatever. And several other people that I know have gotten solar through the Hampton Roads Solar Co-op. So I'm a big fan, and I would never tell anybody, no, you have to do this. This is the only way to do it. Because who knows how the bid's going to come out, and you don't want to be doing the high pressure thing on behalf of the co-op. But what I do tell them is please get multiple estimates and please check out the co-op. And inevitably, it's the comparison that sells them between the prices of the installers and the prices of the co-op. What's happening in Virginia Beach right now is we have these national companies. We had two local companies that are fairly well established, and they kind of trade places winning the bid on the co-op. So that's nice. Other people get it through the local companies. What's happened in the last few months is we have all these national companies going door to door and knocking on doors, and they're extremely expensive, and the same systems, sometimes not as good. And they're really misleading people. They're telling them like, you have to get it now because there's this new program called net metering, that kind of stuff. So I really am at the point where, and I keep getting questions about it, not that I'm an expert, but I'm the person that everybody can see has solar panels on my roof. So it's all, I'm far older than Bridget, and, we live on next door, and there's always like at least once a week and usually twice a week, there's some post about, is this such a good deal? So I'm really for not just the environmental aspect, which I've learned so much about, and I am definitely for now. I have become convinced since we got solar panels. Our solar panels run our car, and you can tell people that when the price is going through the roof, and they go, oh, let me figure this out. And what I try to do is make sure they're figuring it out in a way that's to their advantage and not just jumping in. So I'm hoping there will be some kind of solution to these companies that are not being straight with people.
Definitely, we appreciate you being such a advocate there, and I'm very jealous of your miles per gallon on your car. I can't say it's the same for me. It looks like we have someone on the phone ending in 0016. If you're able to unmute yourself, want to introduce yourself? Okay, we'll go on to Wynn. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I've been a strong solar advocate for like 40 years. But I've always rented until a few years ago, but since then I've been taking care of my wife, who is an invalid. I'm now alone and very much interested in getting solar. I've got a shed that I installed with a shed roof oriented approximately well. The local LEAP, I've been talking with a contractor there, and he just told me that they're only doing systems larger than 3 kilowatts, and he said that won't fit on that roof. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I have an EV. And I very much want a level 2 charger, which I think I've chosen what I want and will plan to get shortly. Um, I've got a whole bunch of improvements to my house that I'm trying to make right now. So until I get done with that and know how much money I've spent, I'm sort of holding off on putting solar in, but it's something I very much want to do next. I'm in APCO.
Thanks, Win. Did we get everyone, Alexis?
Yeah, I think so. Besides the person on the phone, it sounds like was said you might be able to unmute by doing *6 or #6. But if you're not able to, it's all good. And we'll try to do an introduction later. You can also message me if you want to.
And I might take a minute. I probably should have done this at the beginning, just kind of an outline of, who we are and what we're doing tonight and elsewhere for folks that are new or otherwise. Solar United Neighbors, broadly speaking, that's where Alexis, myself, and Liz work. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, not affiliated with any solar company or solar technology. We're really here to help educate folks, help a lot of folks go solar, primarily through our solar co-ops, as Susan mentioned. And then we also do advocacy at the General Assembly here in Richmond, but then certainly work on local levels. We, working on some stuff in Prince William County on permitting and trying to smooth that process out there, and some things elsewhere. So as Susan mentioned, we do have solar co-ops, which are in essence bulk buying groups, where folks in a region go solar together. We put out bid to local installers to service the area. So we finished one up in Richmond not too long ago. There's currently one open in Northern Virginia. And that installer has been selected, and this SEW is the installer there. It's part of a competitive bidding process. And then, as Susan mentioned, Hampton Roads, we're actually going to launch in the Hampton Roads co-op. I think it's tomorrow, actually, officially, and it'll be open for many months through the summer into the fall. We'll be doing some information sessions, both virtually and in person. So if you want to learn about the basics of what we do and the basics of going solar, those information sessions for our solar co-op are really your best bet. I think we've got one Wednesday after the 4th of July, so maybe July 6th is our next one. Certainly have a lot of stuff on our website, and maybe Alexis can drop some of that in the chat. And then we're doing a new project this year in the Shenandoah Valley called Ready, Set, Solar. That's more of a one-on-one kind of individual small group. So it's not a normal, in Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, we might get 100 people that want to go solar, maybe 50 of them end up going solar, that sort of thing. In the Shenandoah Valley, like whether in Newmarket, down to Lexington, even Shipman probably, where you're at, might squeak in there, possibly. Although I'm sure it's had the same challenges getting an installer that would work on a very small system like you're talking about. But so that's what we do kind of, for the most part. And then we have this monthly solar action team that is meeting tonight. And we kind of bounced the topic around. We really reconstituted this, I think, starting in February, after it had been dormant due to COVID and whatnot for a few years. And so we do advocacy and legislative updates. We have guest speakers from time to time. We've had a guest speaker talk about Give Solar, which is a donation partnership with Habitat for Humanity that does tremendous work. We had our last meeting last month was about electric vehicles, and we had folks from Drive Electric RVA to talk to all about EVs and how to pair that with solar. Next month, actually, it will be Aaron Such The regional director and longtime Virginia director will be talking about batteries and battery backups for your residents, your solar installation. And then, tonight we're doing advocacy again. And so, again, we have guest speakers. We talk about technology, we talk about advocacy, we talk about our solar co-ops, and it just bounces around from one meeting to the next meeting. And so wanted to give folks that background on the organization and on what we do. You can find all sorts of stuff about our work in Virginia specifically on our website. And I know Liz mentioned that we have a listserv, an email listserv that'll get technical. If you have technical questions or you want to find servicing or other things, that's a great place for that. And then we also have a Facebook group where we'll post events and also folks talk about put news articles and other things affecting the solar industry here in Virginia. I think somebody mentioned Dominion's new solar arm. I think it's called Bright House or Bright Suite or something like that. There's an article about that today. We don't have any opinion of that group. We don't have opinions of any installers. I think it's just like any other solar installer, just happens to be owned by Dominion. We, like many folks are talking about today, we always encourage people to shop around and get multiple competing bids when considering going solar. And Dominion's solar arm would be no different. I don't think they can offer any better electricity pricing, utility pricing than anyone else. So really it comes down to, just like anything you're going to buy, cost and service, right? What's the markup on the panels and the other equipment, and what kind of service are you getting? As Jeff mentioned, his system was installed 6-7 years ago, and the company that did that is already out of business. Unfortunately, that's not uncommon, and so having a company that will be able to service your array moving forward is really important. And so those are all the kind of things we go through on our solar co-ops and our solar information sessions. Just wanted to give folks that kind of background. So if you're looking for more information in other places, you'll know where to go for those. But yeah, tonight is about being a solar advocate, specifically with the Virginia General Assembly, which meets in the wintertime. And so the next General Assembly session, at least the regular session, will be in January of 2023. So we're kind of in the early stages. They've just completed the budget. I think it was signed today, finally, by the governor, finishing up the work for 2022. In the nick of time, I think the budget had to be done by July 1st. And so we're kind of, our goal today, again, is to educate you all and make you help you have confidence, help build your confidence as a solar advocate with members of the Virginia General Assembly, and then ideally to go and meet with your representative, your state delegate, this summer, potentially with a group of folks and that sort of thing. We'll talk through the specifics of that before we finish up. But that's what we're doing tonight. And again, if other questions, we're happy to talk about those offline or in some other venue. But with that, Alexis, unless you had anything, I will turn it over to Liz.
Cool. Thanks, Ben, and everyone. Great to be here. I'm Liz Veazey, Policy and Rural Energy Director at Solar United Neighbors. And so I work on supporting solar policy in Virginia and some of our other Atlantic Southeast states. I'm going to show some slides, so hopefully people can see those, but I will also talk through them, and then we can provide links to the information as well so people can reference them. Let's see. But I'm guessing that some of you have probably lobbied before. Okay, here we go. So don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to try to go through this quickly and try to give us some time to do some breakout groups at the end. Yeah, I think most of you are probably familiar with lobbying. what is it? It's meeting with an elected official to learn their stance and influence the official on an issue. And I'm guessing that some of you have lobbied before. Meeting with the person rep in person or virtually is sort of one of the most impactful things you can do to influence our elected officials. So there was one poll that said, congressional staffers said that in-person meetings were the most impactful. But also impactful was individualized email or individualized letter or a letter to the editor. And then in terms of lobbying steps, I'm going to try to focus on number 1 and 4. So sort of researching, preparing, working on your agenda. Number 1, also important to think about organizing others to join, but we're not going to dig into that tonight. But Sun can definitely help find other folks in the district for meeting, scheduling the meeting. Then also, so we're going to focus more on sort of attending meeting. What is the meeting like? And then the 5th one would be follow-up. So research and preparation. I'm not going to go through every piece of this, but it's usually helpful to do some background research, learn about who you're meeting with. Also think about, an ask and who is in the meeting and potentially different roles. Maybe have someone taking notes, someone sort of facilitating. Here's a sort of example agenda. Introductions are important, sort of maybe sharing a little story about why you care about this issue, why it's important. And then, why this issue is important. Having a strong ask is good, particularly if there's a specific bill that you're talking about. I think Ben is working towards just having some meetings for people to connect with and build relationships with legislators this fall and sort of just talk about the importance of solar and distributed solar and the impacts of solar, and have people share stories and connect. Yeah, and so the agenda continued is, sort of after you've shared intros and a little about the issue and potentially made an ask, learn about, what's the legislator's stance, what are their questions. You can always follow up on their questions later if you don't know the answer or if you have additional information. Yeah, really important to understand, where they're coming from and what information they need to know. And then ideally, thank them and have a sort of follow-up plan. So I'm going to sort of skip over the step 2 part about organizing others, but it's often helpful to have more people if you can, and Solar United Neighbors can help with that. Scheduling the meeting, I'm not going to dig into that either, but generally is relatively simple, and you may have to reach out multiple times or follow up to get a meeting. But step 4, attending the meeting, going to dig in a little more to that. And so sort of circling back to the agenda and thinking through, maybe having someone take notes and someone making an ask, having a moderator, if you have multiple people. And then there's some tips for, if your representative opposes what you're asking. I think generally with the meetings Ben is working on for this fall, just a sort of a starting point in connecting around solar and telling stories. And, solar is over and over again, has 80 to 90+% of the public, like solar and want solar and want to see solar more than any other energy source. So generally people support solar. But you may need to connect with representative more about specific types of solar or provide more information about the benefits, and sort of address potential concerns that they have and follow up. And yeah, I think, having a timeline and follow up is really important. Thanking them for their time. And again, if they're undecided, you can ask them more about what information they need and have a clear timeline. So yeah, this just sort of reiterates about following up after the meeting with any information that was asked for. I know that was really fast, but I think key things are to sort of do some research, think about who you're meeting with, what are their interests, how can you connect with them. Telling stories is important to connecting and sort of getting across the importance of the issue, and that sort of personal connection, having fun, follow up. All right, that was really fast, and I realized that, but I did put together a doc with some links that people can reference. And yeah, I guess if people have any quick questions, we could do those. I'm gonna go ahead and put the reference doc in the chat, and then I think we will break out. And yeah, I guess Alexis, how many breakouts would we have? Like 3?
I think maybe we'll do 2 since I know they're like Andrew's on, but it's kind of like in and out, and just some people I don't know if their audio is working, and that way you have like 4 to 5 people in your group that are for sure able to participate. But I think maybe it's good to open up and see if folks have questions before we do that. So if anyone does, or Ben, do you have a comment, and then we can open it up?
Yeah, no, I think Liz did a great job. And I think key points is it's your meeting, right? And so, and right now we're really just trying to build relationships with legislators and talk about the benefits of solar. Specifically, we're relationships with members of the House delegates. For folks that follow politics, the control of the House of Delegates switched after the governor's election and the House election this past November. And so in January, when the new assembly convened, it was the first time with that new leadership. And then there was new committee leadership and new committee assignments and all these sort of things. So we were unable last summer. We didn't know who was going to be in control. We didn't know who was going to be on which committees. And to us, the energy committee is the most important. So now this is the first summer where we know who's on which committee, we know who leads the committee, et cetera. And so we're really going to focus on the House. The Senate has been under its current structure and committee structure for 3 years now. So they know where folks stand. So it's really an opportunity to build with the House. And so that's what we're going to be focused on, is meeting with your House of Delegates member this summer, I think.
Awesome. Does anyone have any questions before we kick it off into breakout rooms for Liz or Ben?
We can dig into questions too in the breakouts.
Yeah, I mean, you want to put me in one and Liz in one, just to observe or ask questions. Again, I think the key is really to tell, speak from the heart and talk about why solar is important to you. And maybe, I guess, Liz and I can pretend to be a legislator. Maybe that'd be helpful.
Perfect. I will open them up now. So just for folks who aren't aware, I'll open up the breakout rooms now, and there should be a pop-up on your screen, and you'll just have to click to join that breakout room. If you have issues, I'll stay in the main room, and I can manually move you around as needed. So the rooms are opening now. Wayne, are you able to join the breakout room? Wayne, do you need any assistance?